So, the standard 4 cycles of the flow state: struggle, release, flow itself, and the recovery phase, okay? Hey, how you doing? I'm Wilson, and this channel is all about getting you into the flow state, and this here is the way to be more consistent in flow. But before I get to the actual main tip of the day, you need to have an understanding of the 4 cycles and how the 4 cycles will evolve into one. Okay, so the standard 4 cycles of the flow state: struggle, release, flow itself, and the recovery phase, okay? So struggle is probably something that a lot of you are familiar with. This is where you're trying to find flow, okay? You know that you want to get flow, and let's say it's in a new skill, a task, something, a new task that you're doing in your business or work, whatever it may be. You're trying to find flow with it. And you're going through that sort of learning process where you're getting a bit frustrated, a bit of anxiety, a bit of tension getting built up here. You're in this struggle phase. You're kind of getting pissed off. This is very sympathetic in response. That fight or flight. There's a bit of fighting going on here. Really what you want to do is find a ha and a ha-ha moment. Not a ha-ha, an aha moment. What that means is you kind of relax yourself into it and you access your parasympathetic nervous system by focusing on the release, which is focusing on your breathing. When you do that, that sympathetic and parasympathetic dance begins to happen. You see, in flow, there is this dance between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. You're consciously beginning to do that at this portion here. As you do that, as you're focusing on your breathing, which is coherent to the specific task that you're undertaking in flow, you release nitric oxide, specifically nasal nitric oxide, but when you do a special type of breathing, you release that and flush out all that tension that was built up here, and boom, there you go. You're in flow, El Capitano, the favorite place to be in. This is where you are kicking ass and taking names. You are really being super productive, effective, efficient in this guy here. Now, when this is getting released and you release those potent reward chemicals, you feel awesome, you feel great, but everything that has a big high also has a drop. So you need to focus on your recovery, which is replenishing your body. So if you think at the bottom phase on the left here is the struggle, sympathetic nervous system, here recovery, parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, now this is the standard process, but what I want to share with you today is that this bump here is actually goes out through your whole day. So your whole day you have this wave that your system's tuning into. This wave that happens throughout your day, and what research is pointing towards happens on 90 to 120, but for ease I'm just going to focus on the 90, alright? So you think every 90 minutes you have this accessibility of awesomeness, peak focus and concentration is at its peak, right? This is your nervous system's natural ebb and flow. Should have said that earlier on. Meaning that your system has a natural points throughout the day where it's really focused, aroused, ready for kicking ass. But then what you also need is, you need what they say is 20 minutes to recharge and replenish yourself to get back into another 90. This here is called an ultradian rhythm. And when you allow yourself to tune into your ultradian rhythm, your natural ebb and flow, you're going to be able to be consistently in flow by accessing this. So if you think of it like this, phase 1 would be trying to structure your day where you work for 90 minutes and you allow yourself to have blocks of time in between. That's kind of like the textbook version of it all. But really what you're wanting to do is allow yourself to become more in tune with your system. So that means you have to be able to find a way of tuning into your natural ebb and flow of the day. Every day you wake up, your tuning, your ebb and flow will be slightly different. You have to become aware of what you need to do to tune your instrument according to the day, according to the instrument that wakes up, right? Now, when you do that, what you then give yourself the ability to do is to not necessarily have to work in those 90-20 pockets of time. You kind of tune into your wave and you work with your system like this. You really become in tune with your system's natural ebb and flow. This is really the secret of how to be consistently in flow. Now, one last super tip I want to give to you here. When you draw, if you were to draw a line right between here, okay, and you were to say that everything above here is like active, okay, that means like it's, in a sense, it's kind of the kind of flow that can deplete you a little bit, okay? So it's kind of like heightened flow. So let's say this is active, right? So this is where you're doing stuff that's maybe going to be a bit draining. Can be doing something on the computer, for instance, and because you're surrounded by those electromagnetic frequencies on top of that heightened focus that you're going to have to recharge and replenish yourself pretty quickly. Okay, so let's say that's active. And then here you have creative. So what seems to happen is when you're doing stuff creatively, right, your system seems to recharge and replenish from it. So if you simply structured your day in a way where you did active, creative throughout the day, you're more likely to be able to have a day where you are feeling awesome and performing your best. This really is freaking cool when you tune into it, alright? Now, I know this video was useful. I know it was. So if you did find it very useful, you must have given me a thumbs up. If you didn't, how did you get this far listening to this Scottish accent? Ow. Thanks for listening.